Hey, listen, a real estate career can be very lucrative. Whether you represent a buyer or a seller, either one will earn you commission once you close the escrow. That being said, what I want you to do is this. I want you to understand how working with the buyer is compared to working with the seller. However, what I want to do today is focus on working with the buyer. I'm going to give you 10 crucial steps that I want you to follow when working with the buyer and getting that deal closed, earning that commission. Working with the buyer, coming up today, 10 steps. Don't miss it. Now listen, the name of the game is earning a commission. Now the buyer, you representing a buyer and closing a deal, it'll happen. You'll earn your commission, your real estate career will take off. Buyers are great. In fact, I prefer working with buyers. However, there's a process. There's a sequence that I want you to follow when it comes to working with a buyer, all right? I don't want you to skip a beat, because if you miss one of these steps, the escrow can fall apart, and the last thing you want is to have this escrow fall apart. The name of the game is to get to the finish line. Get to that finish line. You with me? Good. Now, before we move any further, like the video. I'll wait. Good, like. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Don't know what the hell you're waiting for. And last but not least, hit that bell icon. You got to use 2 fingers if you have to. Just hit that bell icon. All right, good. Let's move on. Working with the buyer. Ready? 10 crucial steps you must follow to get to the end of the road, to get to the end of the rainbow, to get to the finish line. Ready? Step number 1. You got a buyer who's excited, and you have a buyer who wants to make it happen for their family. They want to move into a beautiful house. Step 1. Here it comes. You have to get your buyer. Make sure they're pre-approved. Step 1. Pre-approval. Make sure your buyer can afford the property. Make sure your buyer can make the payments. Make sure your buyer sits in front of a lender, and the lender hands you and your client that pre-approval letter. Now that pre-approval letter, stick with me, that pre-approval letter is the ticket to the dance, man. With that pre-approval letter, it says go out and find yourself a property within this price range. The lender's gonna say you are eligible for $1 million. You're eligible to borrow $700,000. You're eligible, and that's the name of the game. With that pre-approval letter, you want that pre-approval letter, which means you have to get your client in front of a lender, have a cup of coffee with the lender and your client, all 3 of you, and determine what is the right amount. Once you're pre-approved, you go to step 2. Now what's step 2? You ready? Nice and simple. Step 2 is you as a realtor have to research the properties. All right, this is the fun part. This is the part I actually enjoy, because now you're doing some research. It's like a mystery that you have to go out and find that special gem. You got it? So where do you find that special gem? Where do you find these properties for your client? You're gonna go straight to your computer, and you're gonna go onto the MLS. We've discussed the MLS many a times. The multiple listing service, that's where you're gonna find the properties. So if you're the lender who gave you a pre-approval letter for $1 million, you go straight to the MLS and you begin your research. And you gather yourself 5, 6, a handful of properties that you're gonna be certain your clients would be interested in. Now, once you find those properties on the internet, you're gonna go ahead and make a printout, print it out for yourself and a printout for your clients, so that they're aware that you found properties and they're ready to go preview them. That leads us to step number 3, previewing the properties. You with me? We're now gonna preview the properties in step 3. Now, what does that mean? It means you're gonna go ahead and schedule these previews. You're gonna contact all the listing agents who represent the sellers and say, hello, Mr. Listing Agent. I have clients who would like to see your property on Saturday at 10 a.m. Will that be appropriate for you? Will that be reasonable for you? Is that a good time for you? If they say, sure, go right ahead, make the arrangements. Show property, preview property. Get your clients into these homes that you found on the MLS. You want them to see it. Whoa, it looks nice. You want them to feel it. Wow, this property feels huge. This property feels small. This property feels cramped. You want them to hear it. Wow, what a quiet neighborhood. It's too noisy, it's by the freeway. You want them to taste it. Yeah, some of these properties, you can actually taste the flavor on you, man. Some of them aren't the best properties, and they smell. Who knows, the scent might not be the best in this property. It'll linger on your tongue, and you want to get the hell out of there. But these are the 5 senses that you want them to go in there and see it, think it, feel it, touch it. See if it's right for them. This is a crucial process. This is a crucial point in the showing process, giving them an opportunity to go in there and really diving into these properties. Now that leads me straight to step 4. Once they find the properties that they really like, you're gonna go back to your office. And you're gonna discuss these properties that you previewed. And you're gonna sit down with them and you're gonna offer them a cup of coffee, you're gonna chit chat, you're gonna say, so what did you guys think? Which one is your top three? Which are your top three? Which are your top three? And you're gonna discuss which is the dream home that we saw today. Which one would you really, really like to live in? And step 4 is making the offer. So now it's time to make that offer. You're gonna make that offer on the RPA, the Residential Purchase Agreement here in the state of California. Here in the state of California, we utilize that form all the time when making an offer. The RPA, Residential Purchase Agreement, and that's where you and your client are going to discuss what's a reasonable offer. Now again, based on the economy, based on the real estate market, are you gonna make an offer above asking price, an offer below asking price? What are you gonna do? That's where your professionalism comes in, your expertise. Study the game, study the market. Give them some good advice. How bad do you want this house? This part here, step 4, when you make that offer, they're gonna be looking at you and they're gonna say, what do you think? You're my agent. I trust you. What do you think I should do? And you guys come to a meeting of the mind, you guys decide together, let's make this offer. And you're gonna do it on what form? On what form? I'll wait. All right, good, on the RPA, which stands for Residential Purchase Agreement. Got it? Good. That goes straight to step 5. Now, once your offer gets accepted, we now open escrow, which is step 5. We open escrow. That's a great day. That's a great day. Because now your buyer has just found the property. It was accepted. We open escrow. And all we have to do now is run the course, run the escrow, and get to that closing day. Get to that closing date so you can hand your client, your buyer, the keys. So opening escrow is the beginning of the race. Opening escrow is the beginning of a horse race. And every day in between, from opening escrow to closing escrow, every day in between is like a step in a horse race. Da-da-da, 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 da-da-da. And you want these steps to be consistent. You want these steps to be solid. So what you want to do is make sure that when you start that race, when you open escrow, you're strong and you're ready to run that course. Got it? Good. Step 6 is your buyer doing their inspections and reviewing the disclosures. This is crucial. Once you open escrow, your buyer here in the state of California has 17 days. Has 17 days by contract to run his inspections on that property. And they have 17 days to review the disclosures. Review the disclosures that were given to them. Written disclosures that were given to your buyer, and their buyer receives it from the seller. And this is the seller's way of saying, this is the information on my property that you are purchasing, and I want you to know everything there is to know about my property. Here's all the information on my property, Mr. Buyer, Mrs. Buyer. Here it is. It's an open book. Take a look. And the buyer gets to review these disclosures. They get to review these disclosures and say, you know what, honey? This looks great. All this information the seller has provided to us looks great. Let's proceed with this escrow. Let's continue on this race. Let's stay on course. Ba-da-bum, 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 like a racetrack, like a horse in a race. Every day is a step closer to that finish line. So step 6, the buyer has an inspection done, and that's optional, by the way, but the buyer has a right to inspect the property, to hire a professional inspector to go review this property, to make sure everything's on the up and up, make sure everything's comfortable for the buyer, and the buyer has the right to review the disclosures that were given to them by the seller. So far, so good. Now, that leads us to step 7. Now, what is step 7? Well, here we go. Once inspections are done and disclosures are done, and the buyer feels good about this property, and the loan is going great, everything looks good, everything's right on target, what the buyer wants to do with you, their realtor, is you want to schedule what's called a final walkthrough. Verification of property condition. Here we go. A final walkthrough. And that final walkthrough is going to be you and your client, the buyer, previewing this property one last time before you close that deal. So what you want to do is you want to do it towards the end of the escrow. If the escrow is going to be 30 days, do your final walkthrough on day 27, day 26, towards the end, because what you want to do is you want to confirm with your buyer that this property is in the same condition, if not better, than the day you made that offer. You want to confirm that. You don't want to go The last thing you want is your buyer to walk into the new house and see new damage. That's the last thing you want. So what you want to do is this: make sure that your buyer is purchasing the property they previewed back when you first previewed the property for the first time. And you're going to do this when? Yeah, at the final walkthrough. What I want you to do is I want you to get your buyer to sign the VP, the verification of property condition. Now this verification of property condition is a document that they're going to sign saying, yep, I agree, I'm happy, this house is in the same condition, if not better, than when it was when we first previewed it, when we made our offer. You got it? This is important. This is important because in a sense, you as a realtor are being told by your client, thank you for showing me this property. I appreciate it. Thank you for helping me with this escrow. This last time we're going to see this property, that we're going to preview it. We're going to do our final walkthrough. I'm okay with it. It looks good. I accept its condition. Now let's close this deal. You got it? A final walkthrough. Leave it closer to the end, because if you leave too much gap between that final walkthrough and the actual closing date, the more gap you leave, the more days you leave, the more possibility that something wrong can happen and you won't know about it. You got it? So you want to leave a very small window between that final walkthrough and closing the deal. Protect your buyer. Got it? That leads us to our next step. Step 8. Step 8 now is the property is going to be funded. Funded means the bank now gets involved. The lender gets involved and says, hey, listen, looks like you met all of our criteria. We're happy with the way things are going. We appraised the house. The house is great when it comes to the appraisal. We're digging this. Where do we send the funds? Where do we wire the funds? And of course, typically they're going to wire the funds to purchase this property to either title or the escrow company. That's a great day. When the lender says, here's the funds, and they wire the funds, the $1 million, the $700,000, whatever the amount is that's being borrowed, that's a great day. Let me emphasize that. Funding is a great day, but not the best day. But not the best day, because the best day is the next step, step 9. Now what's step 9? Step 9 is recording. Hallelujah, recording. Recording is where the county says, yep, we're officially over and out. We have a new owner on this property. Your buyer just purchased it. Your buyer is now the new owner and is recorded at the county recorder's office. That's a fantastic day, because that means it's over and out. It's done. Finito. You earned yourself a commission. Your buyer is now a homeowner. Everybody's happy. Step 9 is what? Yeah, recording. That's the official close of escrow. You got it? Well, that's just 9 steps, Rico. Why are you telling us there's 10 steps? Because there's a 10th step. And for you to be a great realtor, you must include this 10th step. And the 10th step is you acknowledging that your buyers went through a phase that was very emotional. A lot of your families who are buying these properties, it's an emotional time. They're excited, they're nervous, they're scared. Every emotion you can think of, all balled up in one, they're feeling it for 30 days or 45 days, or whatever the amount of escrow days that are included in this transaction. So what I want you to do is this, step 10. I want you to be there to congratulate them and provide them a small gift. Let them know that they're appreciated. Let them know that you loved working with them. Let them know that you appreciate referrals. If you don't ask for referrals, you'll never get them. Let them know that you're the one to go to when it comes to any real estate transactions. That if they know a buyer or a seller, anybody who wants to get involved in a real estate deal, to contact you. Give you referrals. Step 10, ask for referrals. You got it? Hey, listen. Sure, in an escrow there's a lot more detail, but these 10 steps are gonna help you stay on track. You got it? I just gave them to you today as a gift. Why? Because I want you to be comfortable. Let me give you one quote. Let me leave you with one great quote by William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare once said, all things are ready if our minds be so. Which means if you're prepared and you know what's to come ahead, you're gonna rock it. You're gonna feel confident, you're gonna be comfortable, you're gonna be the go-to realtor. You with me? Hope this helps you out, but listen, one more thing before we go. The first week of every month, California Realty Training has what we call free intro week, which means if you're interested in a real estate career, it's not so hard. Go after that real estate license. Join us for a free intro session the first week of every month. Check out our website, www.carealtytraining.com. Can't wait to see you in class. Have a great week.